session.
And we've enjoyed watching the Democratic battles all over the world, battling for democracy. Here inside our Beltway, we're battling over the budget.
Yeah, budget battles loom, some critical decisions coming up for both President Obama and the Congress. And it's all about how far should budget cuts go.
And inside our Beltway, Andy, it's always how tight can you pull that belt, or can we open it up a little bit? And this is the difference between Democrats and Republicans when you're looking at the budget.
Well, when you're looking at the budget, both sides agree that there needs to be more fiscal responsibility. But when it comes to satisfying their base supporters, Republicans really want to hit deep cuts into the tough part of the budget. We'll talk about entitlement spending. Democrats want to ease off those cuts to protect their core constituents in the Democratic base.
Andy, let's be honest, though. When we're talking cuts, all we're talking about is slowing down growth. One thing that is certain about any federal budget is we start out where we ended last year. The base is last year's budget total. The question is, how much will it increase? Let's not be fooled when they talk about cuts. No one's really talking about going backwards. It's the question of how fast will we go forward.
Well, you're right. Those are the old ways that we would debate. When we talk about a cut, we would slow the increase. But the Tea Party element's a new element, Dan. And now that the Republicans control the House of Representatives, and you have this Tea Party caucus that is very serious about budget reform, they're talking about the much tougher cuts, and that is to entitlement spending. Entitlement spending is the mandatory spending that's permanent year to year. Social Security and Medicare are the two big ones. And when you talk about reforming those, often we talk about grabbing the third rail of politics.
Well, let's talk about the realities of the federal budget, Andy. You're right. There are two main arms of the federal budget: mandatory spending versus discretionary spending. Mandatory spending involves those programs that really can't be touched, are guaranteed, like Social Security, Medicare. Discretionary spending would be those items that are for programs, block grants, and development activities in the states. The question, though, is what's the percentage? Discretionary spending, about 1/3 of the federal budget, but that includes the defense spending, which for many is a non-cuttable item.
For many, that's you can't touch that either. So that's a very small portion of the budget that you can actually tackle to actually try to cut things or reduce growth. So this is where the Tea Party is coming in and saying, hey, we need to talk about how to restructure these entitlements, particularly, let's say, Social Security, whether the retirement age should be raised and other different reforms. And when you start getting into those debates, you are getting into some of the most serious debates that have ended plenty of political careers.
Well, what makes this current budget cycle, though, even more interesting, Andy, is what we're talking about inside Washington as the new normal. We used to just amaze ourselves when the Bush administration projected $300 billion deficits each year, spending $300 billion more than they took in. Because of the fiscal crisis of 2008, 2009, 2010, the Obama administration exceeded $1 trillion in deficits. The question is, how long can that be sustained? And I don't think there's anyone who can argue that can be sustained over the long term. Previous deficits, 3% of the GDP. Current deficits, 10% of the GDP. Andy, unless there are significant cuts, it's unsustainable.
It's unsustainable, or unless there are, down the road, significant revenue growth that we can't foresee right now. And a turnaround economy might be just the answer for that.
Sounds to me, Andy, you're saying the best way to solve this budget crisis is to create more jobs, more units paying more taxes. The big question when we look at the budget, Andy, is who's going to budge, the Democrats or the Republicans? In the battle of this political season, the budget. What's going on inside the news? We know. We're two teachers. No fancy words.
No fancy suits.
Plain talk about issues you need to know.
Just in time.